Welcome. I am NidoNiya, and I'm with Naya, my podcast partner and editor. This is the start of our Pokemon Let's Go podcast series, in which we're going to discuss our thoughts on the Pokemon trailers that came out. Naya, how are you doing today?
Pretty good. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm really excited. So I saw the 3 trailers that came out, but the most recent trailer, I'm like, all right, we really got to do this podcast now because there's so much going on here and the community seems to be a little divided. Have you seen any of that?
Yeah, I've seen a few of the trailers myself. I think I'm on Team Eevee instead of Pikachu.
I feel like Eevee's going to outsell Pikachu because in the Pokemon series, Pikachu's face of the entire brand, but I think everybody is gravitating towards Eevee because it's something new, especially when they're going to make something like this, something that's so new and experimental. And I mean, it's a huge creative twist on anything they've ever done, which I personally am looking forward to. I don't understand why people don't really like it all of a sudden, but personally, I'm looking forward to it, and I really think that Eevee being new, plus the Switch being new, I think Eevee's going to win the battle here.
I kind of disagree. I think Pikachu is going to take it home because, as you said, it's the face of Pokemon. Everyone knows Pikachu, but they also know Eevee. However, a lot of people love Pikachu, but I think a big turnoff was when they made Pikachu talk in the movie. So really, I think it might be up in the air.
I remember that, actually. I kind of forgot about that. Pikachu talks now. They really messed that up. My first impression with this game, I kind of have my list here of how we're going to go. Let's start with first impressions. I'm for this. I'm looking forward to it. Honestly, I know change has to happen, and I know that this is considered a main series. The Game Freak, even the president, has made that clear that this is going to be a main series game. Now, what I couldn't tell you is going to be a main series game when it comes to the adventures, or is it going to be a main series game as in they're going to continue to build on things like Pokemon Go, then Pokemon Let's Go, and then continue it from there.
When I found out that it was related to Pokemon Go, I was kind of disappointed because I lost interest in Pokemon Go and don't really play it much at all anymore. Then what brought me back around was co-op.
Yeah, no, I love that idea that it's co-op. I absolutely intend to do the series with you throughout this entire game and probably get Pokemon Let's Go Eevee. I'm thinking the co-op is going to be an awesome addition because previously it's fan-made if you had any co-ops. Co-ops was strictly a fan-made thing. Now it's actually incorporated into the game.
So let me get this straight. You're saying that you're Team Eevee instead of Pikachu?
I'm definitely Team Eevee. The only problem is you can't evolve your Eevee. Did you see that?
No, I didn't, and that's a very disappointing fact for me. I think I might go with Pikachu.
Well, you can't evolve that either. This is just like Yellow. Now, here's my first point I'd like to talk to you about here is the immediate speculation on this game being a remake of Yellow because they saw Jesse and James, who only ever appeared in one game, and that one game was Pokemon Yellow, of course. And so now everybody's saying it's a Yellow remake because it's based in Kanto, and there's 151 of the original Pokemon. They're all there, but nothing else. Even though they're probably going to add it in pretty quick, as far as I know, you can't take Gen 2 and 3 even if it's from Pokemon Go. So this is technically being called a Pokemon Yellow remake, but I'm going to challenge you with this one. This is my thought on it, is that I actually don't think it's a Yellow remake. The rival is not Blue/Gary, it depends. Since Yellow was based somewhat on the anime, I like to think that that actually is Gary Oak, not Blue. But here's the thing. With that rival, they said, and of course the whole community's up in an uproar about that because I was seeing so much trash talk about the fact that it's a quote-unquote friendly rival. However, what I note is Professor Oak is still there, but Gary/Blue is nowhere to be seen. So what that tells me is I actually think this may occur either before or after Yellow. Originally, ponder me this one, just think about this. I thought it was after. I was on Twitter making comments about how I think this is occurring after Yellow, that it's a sequel. You actually pointed out to me that Mew in Pokemon Go was considered undiscovered by the professor, meaning that they did not have knowledge of Mew, which was one of many leading points that suggested Pokemon Go occurs before Red, Blue, and Yellow. So that actually, to me, sounds like Yellow is the sequel to this game. That Pokemon Let's Go doesn't have Gary Oak because the rival, he's your rival at your age, while Gary hasn't even been born yet. If this occurred after Yellow, Professor Oak would be old, like really old. So I'm actually thinking this occurs before Pokemon Yellow. What do you think about that?
Well, I'm actually going to back you up a little bit and talk about something you discussed before you got on a roll. You mentioned that all 151 Pokemon are a part of the game, but you can't evolve Pikachu or Eevee. Is that right?
Well, to my understanding, you can't evolve Pikachu or Eevee that you are given at the lab. If you catch a wild one, you can evolve that. And that's a throw back to Pokemon Yellow. The Pikachu that would follow you, I don't think you were allowed to trade him, and I don't think you were allowed to evolve him, if I recall. It's been a while since I played that game, but I believe that's how it worked.
I'm going to take your word on that because I will admit that I've never played Yellow. You're more passionate about the games than I am, and I just started playing in the last couple of years with the DS games, and I do have a Sapphire version for the GBA, but that's about it.
Yeah, no, I definitely was a highly competitive battler. I knew my facts pretty well, but again, I'm rejoining the community 10 years later. I just picked up Pokemon Moon and started playing it, and it's been out for about a year and a half. However, I'm definitely excited for Pokemon Let's Go. I'm going to be there. I'm going to get a Switch. I'm going to have Pokemon Eevee on order because Pokemon Let's Go Eevee, I want to give it a chance for sure. And even if it's not the game that I think it's going to be, I think I'm going to enjoy it. Personally, yeah, there's some rough reaction, but anytime there's going to be change, there's going to be reaction. Now, I do say this. The overworld looks amazing. One thing they made sure to showcase was that Pokemon are in the wild all over the place. And what's really cool about that is I'm feeling like when you start the game and you get your first Pokemon, probably battle your rival, say bye to your mom, and head out into the first grass patch, it's not just going to be, oh, there's a Caterpie, a Rattata, and a Pidgey. From the looks of it, there's going to be a large amount of species that are available in every different spot of grass. So you are going to be seeing things like Psyduck in Route 1. I'm just throwing this out there. Scyther. You're going to have a variety of Pokemon everywhere. And did you see where they had like Gyarados swimming in the ocean and such? Or Lapras?
Yeah, let me talk about that for a minute. As soon as I saw that you could ride on Arcanine or swim on Lapras and Gyarados and basically ride larger Pokemon such as Charizard and the like, I got pretty excited just because it's something new that I've never really experienced with Pokemon before. Though I will say that you're talking about Yellow. This whole experience makes me want to play Yellow just to have more of a background because I am really excited to play this game. I probably will join you in pre-ordering the game, though I think we should challenge each other with Pikachu and Eevee. Since you're going to get Eevee, I guess I'll get Pikachu.
I wonder how that's going to work too, because in Yellow, the original way it worked was your rival picked Eevee every time because you were given Pikachu in Yellow. Now, depending on how you performed against him, or if you skipped him, because in the original series you could skip the rival battle if you wanted. So if you lost that very first battle, it determined, like, if you swept him 3 out of 3 times, you ended up seeing a Vaporeon. If you lost the first battle and won the next 2, you saw a Flareon you would evolve it into. And let's say you skipped him on the route. And I don't remember how this works. Obviously, I'm not getting the details right. I'm sure I'm wrong. But I think it was if you skipped him and didn't battle him in that second route, then when you came back, he would have a Jolteon. So I wonder, is he going to be evolving it while you're still stuck with Pikachu?
That's a good question, and one I'm not really sure how to answer, though it is a good theory and idea that you've come up with. That being said, though, I think I'm going to have to play Yellow before I play this game, even though I'm so excited, just because a lot of what you're talking about makes sense based on the fact of the Yellow game that you've discussed, but I think I want to experience it for myself.
Yeah, another thing I wrote this down because I had this thought too is if I'm right and this is actually a prequel to Pokemon Yellow, that means when we saw Jesse, James, and Meowth, they're like brand new Team Rocket recruits. Just kind of funny to think about.
Now, you're saying that because of their size or just how young they look in the game?
They don't look particularly young. It's just it makes sense. They weren't that old, I don't think. They were only like it was assumed that they were older than Ash in the series, and since Yellow took influence from the anime, it's assumed that Team Rocket was older than Ash, and Ash just began his journey. The same thing with Gary. So if Gary is either not born yet or too young to start his journey, that would tell me, just based on what Jesse and James, the stories they tell and such. And actually, I digress to a different point here too. There was a mini series, I can't remember the name of it right now, that actually showed where Jesse and James joined up with Team Rocket and were at the Recruit Academy. If that's to be believed with this game, only because it's based loosely on the anime Yellow was, although this wasn't out at the time, then that would lead me to believe that they were fresh recruits in this game. Maybe.
I'm kind of at a loss for words. I'm not sure if you've done your research or if you're just that educated concerning Pokemon. I think I've got a lot of catching up to do.
I am speculating hard on this one. Now, I have to laugh at this, alright? So, Pokemon on Twitter, the official Pokemon Twitter handle, they posted something about riding Arcanine. You saw that. Everyone loved that. And so and they asked the question or something, and they said, what are you looking forward to riding? So people are like, I can't wait to ride my Lapras, my Ninetales. I want to fly through the air on a Charizard. And so I'm going to show you right now. I could not resist. I went back to the anime. I think this might have been season 1, maybe season 2 or 3. I'm pretty sure this was Kanto, so season 1 or 2. I said, hey, and I posted this on there. I said, hey, I can't resist. I have to look forward to riding my Electrode. And so the guy that's running Electrode down the hill. Yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to. I want to ride my Electrode, but it doesn't work uphill. It only goes downhill. So I think that's where the lore is going, in my opinion, is that it's going to be a prequel to that. So, and again, if you can't evolve your Pokemon, then you can focus more on their haircuts. But nonetheless, that brings us to my next point.
Now, wait a second. You're talking about the haircuts. I don't like that. I get that it's another way to personalize, but the haircuts make the Pokemon look so silly. Especially Pikachu. Why give it hair? It doesn't need it. I don't like that at all.
Remember Jimmy the Pikachu trainer from the XY series?
No.
I don't know if we got there yet or not. Yeah, I also posted this. I want my Pikachu looking like that. Rockstar Pikachu.
Your Pikachu looks like it has a mohawk.
It will have a mohawk. If I get Let's Go Pikachu, it's going to have a mohawk. So, I have to pose this question too when I think about that. You can only decorate or dress up or whatever, accessorize your Pikachu or your Eevee. So all the other Pokemon kind of get left in the dust on that one, I guess. But it makes me wonder, first off, when you're battling with the thing, does it go out there with ribbons and a weird haircut and somehow, let's say it gets hit by a Psychic from an Alakazam and it's going to have a perfect hairdo at the end of the day?
I would hope that the accessories and the hairstyles and such would reflect damage just because for the graphics sake. But at the same time, I'm really hoping that it's not a case of putting on a hat or changing the hair or putting on ribbons or a shirt or something and then having a battle and the stuff just disappear. And then after the battle, it just reappears like magic.
I'm not sure if I saw anything like that in the trailer. I can't say I particularly paid attention, unfortunately, because I thought the Pikachu that was in the trailer multiple times didn't have any accessories going on. I didn't see it in battle with an accessory. Otherwise, I kind of want the Marvel Captain America shield, It's just for looks, I swear.
Well, I will say this. The trailers that I've seen had no hairstyles or no clothing items whatsoever during the battle. But there were many clips on the trailer that were changing outfits or changing hairstyles, but neither Pikachu or Eevee had anything while they were in battle.
Yeah, you're right. That's what I'm thinking. I could pull the trailer up right now, but I'm not sure if it really matters. But that does bring me to my next point, though, with battles. I think that was the thing Pokemon Go was missing the most, and if we knew now, or if we knew then what we know now about Pokemon Let's Go, I think Pokemon Go would have gotten away with the fact that you couldn't weaken down any Pokemon, because now you weaken them down and then you catch them as if it's Pokemon Go. And so there's two things I want to ask you on this one. Number one, what do you think about that you may be able to weaken down the Pokemon and then still act like it's Pokemon Go when you catch them? And number two, I have to imagine in Pokemon Go there are 3 types of balls unless something changed in the last 3 months. There's Pokeballs, Great Balls, and Ultra Balls. So now in Pokemon Let's Go, we saw in the Mr. Mime in the trailer disappear. He dodged the Pokeball, the kid misses, and Mr. Mime runs off. So that poses me the immediate question. What if I throw a Master Ball at Mewtwo and I miss, and I only get one of those from the Sylph Company president, and I throw it away? Does this imply that we need to actually have a totally new set of skills in Pokemon, which is simply basic aiming?
I doubt that you actually have to have skills, just because with the trailer that I watched earlier, you had a kid that had a Pokeball, and you can play with that, you can do Pokemon Go, and you can also play with the Nintendo Switch controller, or the Calm, I think is what it's called. And so I am really skeptical about the fact that you have to have skill, considering it's a Pokeball. I mean, all you do is like push a button, not that I actually have one physically, but from the trailers that I've seen, you can't really do much with a Pokeball. So I will be thoroughly impressed if you have to have some kind of a skill to catch the Pokemon that you see. But that being said, I'm not really sure how I feel about the fact that you weaken Pokemon in Pokemon Go kind of a play, just because that's how Pokemon has always been from what I remember. You weaken them, you catch them, but the Pokemon Go aspect, as I said, was kind of a turnoff for the game for me, because I got bored with Pokemon Go a long time ago. Though I will say that my friends that are still playing kind of tempt me to download it and play it again, just because they are sending each other gifts, and I think that's a cool aspect of the game itself, that you can catch Pokemon on Pokemon Go and transfer them over, essentially saying that it's the same game, but it's totally different. It's a totally different concept on a totally different console. But I just don't know how I really feel about it.
I agreed. I feel like maybe I'm going to have to hit Pokemon Go back up here soon, although ironically this morning I accidentally activated Pokemon Go. I didn't know I pocket hit it. But there's 2 concerns I have. Number one is, how is the CP, the combat power system, going to work in Pokemon Let's Go? Have we, since it's interchangeable, have we ditched the traditional attack, defense, special attack, special defense, speed? Are we going with the easy IVs, as I call them, to where everything that is a good, strong IV Pokemon, maybe I personally looked at Pokemon Go like, as long as I'm in the upper 90%, that Pokemon is fine by me, because Pokemon Go previously didn't really matter if you had a 100% Pokemon. For that matter, the damage calculation, I believe it rounded off to where a 95% and a 100% IV Pokemon would hit just as hard as each other. So I'm concerned with how the battling system will work like that, especially with whatever the confusing future of competitive play is with Let's Go, because the combat power system to me it was good for Pokemon Go, but it was certainly not the mainstream games. I'm wondering how that's going to work, especially for all those poor souls out there that got rid of 99% Pokemon because they ran out of space, and they're like, alright, well, I've got 6 Tyranitar's, I got rid of 1. And then the other one I'm concerned about, and almost part of me wants to get a little offended about this, is Pokemon Go gives away shinies. And let's be honest, once a month you get free shinies, and the shiny odds are really much better than in the games. So it's almost to that point where it's like, when the fact that they're asking people, how many shinies did you get on Community Day? A shiny used to be something impressive or a display of incredible luck. It used to mean something. And that's why, people that hack their shinies into the main games, it's almost worthless. It's like a make-believe trophy. It's a plastic trophy instead of a gold one. So those are my 2 concerns, is when you're bringing Pokemon over from Go, are they using the new battling system of combat power, and is the value of a shiny gone?
I kind of agree with you about the Community Day, just because the friends that I mentioned earlier, they post screenshots to me all the time about how many shiny Lugia and Pikachu's, it's an endless shiny army, essentially. And I sat there for a few minutes thinking, do I really want to go back to this? Because, they're talking about getting gifts from Australia and all this kind of stuff that they got in Alolan Vulpix and, all that kind of cool stuff. And so I was really tempted to download it again, but when I really thought about it, it just made me want to pick up a DS and play Pokemon again because I missed that kind of interaction because...
It drives you back to the main series. I felt the same way. I wanted to play Sun and Moon so bad after Pokemon Go.
I feel like Pokemon in and of itself has become really lax, and what I mean by that is you don't have... I remember back in the day when I played Pokemon almost all the time, I was so excited when they did the global trade system, and I remember checking it every night before I went to bed on what people wanted to trade for what I had. And that was such an exciting time for me, and I kind of missed that. But now, with Pokemon Go and everything, it's just, I don't know, people are trading stuff all over the place, and it doesn't feel like it did when I played. And again, I'm not as big of a Pokemon player as you are, but I don't even remember the name of the game that I'm referencing, but I just remember, playing and getting a Japanese Ditto. That was the best thing that I got from that trade, I believe.
Oh, that's great for shinies. I remember that too. Plus, getting a 6IV Ditto used to be like a godsend. Now, it doesn't take much at all, but no, I mean, especially when that first came out, and I'm sure it is no different today than it was then, is... Hey, I soft reset 3,000 times to get my black shiny Rayquaza, and then somebody offers me a level 5 Bidoof for it. Oh, thanks, Bidoof. Awesome. Yeah, that's worth a shiny Rayquaza. I'm not going to do that. And you'll scroll through hundreds of people asking for shinies. And for that matter, it's got to be plagued by now by so many hacked Pokemon that, God, there's nothing legitimate on there. I wonder if you can, at this point, send a bad egg and send that to somebody else's game. But I agree. Pokemon Go doesn't have the vibe that the mainstream games had, and most people, they really don't see what the mainstream games had to offer. In fact, I haven't even seen it. I'm just now going through Moon, and I'm going to make my way back to where I left off, which was Diamond. So, Platinum I didn't even play yet. So, no, I definitely agree. That's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out, because if the sales numbers, which determine everything, and I haven't checked the marketing, so I'm not going to sit here and tell you which games sold good and which ones sold well, which ones didn't do so well. But when you make a radical change like this, are they really going to draw in a fan base that's going to stick around for another game after Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu?
I'm going to touch back on that topic that I was speaking of earlier about it being more lax. I still feel that way about the Let's Go, just because the trailers showed you walking around, running with your partner, either Pikachu or Eevee, and also riding, like, Arcanine with Pikachu or Eevee on your shoulder or something, and it had battle. Like, I don't think it's going to be as story-based as the other ones. I'm not sure how I'm going to feel about that as I play it. I'm hoping that I'm wrong. But a lot of what I've seen in the trailer and that what people seem to be talking about are the fact that you can ride Arcanine, that you can accessorize Pikachu or Eevee, and give them hairstyles, that kind of thing. So I'm wondering if it's more like a people-pleaser kind of game just because of the things that you're able to do with it, like bringing Pokemon from Pokemon Go, playing it, catching stuff, and transferring it over, etc.
Yeah, no, so my thoughts on that, it's probably going to play out exactly like Pokemon Yellow does. I would think. I mean, I actually, you know what? That makes me think right now. I would love to see them change a couple of things to where it's not a straight up, not necessarily a remake, but, if this, let's just speculate for a moment that this is a different time than Pokemon Yellow, albeit probably before, maybe after, but let's just say it doesn't occur at the same time that Yellow does, then it doesn't have to be a remake. They can play around with this a little bit, it doesn't have to be exactly what it was before. Yeah, it'd be cool. And to an extent, it's cool that they're coming back to Kanto. I feel like some people are having problems with that. What do you think? I'm okay with it. I don't care that they're coming back to Kanto.
The game coming back to Kanto doesn't really bother me in and of itself, but as we're sitting here talking, the longer I think about the Let's Go game, I'm starting to realize that, riding Arcanine, Lapras, that kind of thing is really cool. And I'm wondering why that wasn't incorporated in past games. Like, obviously it was common sense kind of thing, like you would imagine that you were doing it, but to actually see it, like, why can you all of a sudden ride Arcanine? You use Charizard for Fly, you use Lapras and Gyarados for Surf. What does Arcanine do?
Well, not in the first game you don't, because Charizard can't learn Fly. Either way, well, I think they fixed that by Yellow version, but I'm pretty sure that you can ride Pokemon. I've seen images of like X and Y, and then the remakes. Like I think I don't know about Heart Gold and Soul Silver, but I thought I've seen Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire where they're flying on Pokemon. I'm trying to avoid all spoilers of the games now just to make sure, but I think Sun and Moon. I mean, Sun and Moon. I'm only a little bit in. I already saw somebody riding a Tauros, so I have to assume that they're letting you ride Pokemon because that's what they've already been doing, probably since Black and White. But I'm not sure about that since I haven't played it. However, that does bring another question. If you can ride a Pokemon, is there a reason to have a bicycle anymore, or are they going to eliminate the bike shop?
I don't even think a bike shop exists. Like, they probably closed down for business a long time ago.
That guy definitely closed down for business because he wanted $1 million for a bicycle. So I don't think his business lasted. So here's my thoughts on that now. If that bicycle shop existed in Yellow, and Let's Go comes before it, then he has not opened shop yet, and there will be no bicycle. If this game occurs after Yellow, he's already either faced lawsuits or he's been driven out of business because no one's willing to pay $1 million for a bicycle.
I would be really interested to know what the spokespeople have to say about, or if they're even going to say anything about the timeline, because I would love to know, even if it was before and the bike shop does exist, whether or not the bike shop exists doesn't really say for sure whether it's before or after, but I would be really interested to know where the games fall on a timeline, just because this entire conversation makes me want to go back and play all of the games that I've tried to play, that I have played or never played, and it's been a long time.
Hey, I'm down for it. No, you know what? That brings another... I'm not just judging... Okay, maybe I'm judging this off just the bike shop, but you know what? I got another thing here. If Gary is not the rival, and let's just speculate again that I'm right, that it's because he's too young to be a Pokemon trainer right now, then maybe we're going to finally find out an answer to an age-old question that's been bugging me on and off for years. Who was the champion before Blue/Gary? After Lance. Lance says you could be the champion, but you have to beat the new champion. Who did Gary beat? /Blue, it depends. Who did he beat to become champion? Who was the champion before him? And you saw it in Pokemon Origins, the 4, 5, 6-part movie that came out. You saw a bunch of pictures of people that were previous champions before Red. And of course, I don't actually know, come to think of it, Blue never even, in Pokemon Origins, he never got his picture up there, did he? So thanks, Grandpa. Either way, so finally, maybe we're going to find out who was the champion before Blue/Gary.
You bring up a good point, and this could just be my ignorance with Pokemon, but I'm wondering if the story has gotten lost. Just because I've not seen all of the movies, I've not played all of the games, or watched all the cartoons, or anime, whichever you want to call it, but I'm not as educated as I'd like to be, and I'm kind of curious if, there's really a story there, or if it's just, the whole reason why I picked up Pokemon was because of the cute, cool-looking creatures that you could play with, battle, trade, etc., and the towns, I liked exploring the towns with Furfurau and, riding around on roller skates or rollerblades, whatever it was. So it's like, what really is the story? Because I'll be honest, there was a couple times where I just skipped the dialogue and just went about my way.
You skipped dialogue?
Yeah.
You skipped dialogue.
Sorry.
Ouch. Yeah, no. To me, that brings a side note is some people look back at the games and they wonder, was that really... I mean, Pokemon Origins really highlighted that story. I liked how Pokemon Red, Blue, Yellow, Gold, Silver, Crystal were all about the trainer. They were focused around you and your rival getting to the end, beating the league, and in one case for Johto, they have made it look extremely legendary, that idea of Gold climbing up the mountain and facing Red. In games after that, it was always crisis and situations in peril. So it worked, honestly. That was, Team Aqua and Team Magma and Ruby Sapphire when that came out. Yeah, that worked. That was awesome. And to an extent, Diamond is where I thought there were too many cooks in the kitchen. There were a lot of legendaries. There was God of Space, God of Time, God of Gods, and the guy that lives in a parallel universe. Not that I'm not saying I don't like those Pokemon. I'm just saying things were going a little AWOL there. And I know the rough story of Black, White, X, and Y. And X and Y mainly for the anime, but for also the Pokemon Generations series. So to go back to simply focusing on the trainer will be cool. It makes me wonder, is Team Rocket going to play a huge storyline role in this game? And if they do, what's going to be more important per se in the grand scheme of things? Getting to the league rival battle, winning, or the champion. Maybe the rival doesn't make it to the league, who knows? Beating the league, or is it going to be saving the world or saving something from Team Rocket? Which, let's be honest, if this occurs before Yellow, you're not going to stop Team Rocket. That's impossible, per the timeline. And if this occurs after Yellow, Team Rocket disbanded already.
So, from my experience playing the Pokemon games, what little I did play, I kind of understand where you were going with in regards to the legendaries and the Elite Four and that kind of thing, because I do remember the Elite Four, but I also remember having to stop, I believe it was Magma. Again, I think I'm really going to have to get my hands on some games and go back and relive a childhood, essentially, and figure out what I've been missing with Pokemon, because apparently a lot of stuff has gone down that I am clueless about.
What I heard was you're going to do a stream all weekend long and start every game from start to end.
Heck no, I'd be dead by then.
All right. I like this. We'll call it a deadlock.
No.
Either I play the game to completion or I die in the process.
Nope. You're getting ahead of yourself. I don't sign up for that.
So I like to think here that this game is definitely going to be faster paced and more exciting for sure. It kind of leads me to the wonder here. So everybody, and by everybody I mean I was told going into Pokemon Moon that Moon was going to be easy. They were saying Pokemon games are getting easy. Now, I will say this. As of right now, I'm only up in 5 episodes of my Moon series. I'm getting my butt handed to me. I don't know why. Maybe I suck now. Maybe I'm not as good as I thought I was at all. But I kept getting my butt whooped. Let's just pretend for a moment that it's just because I'm going back to my noob days and my competitive days are beyond me. So, would you like to see Pokemon Let's Go get harder or easier?
Well, all I heard from that is that you've been getting your butt kicked on Moon, and I picked up a copy of Sun, and I will say that I've not lost yet.
Yeah, I didn't lose. I just got my butt whooped.
I've not had to use an HP potion at all.
I didn't have the chance to use potions. When you're getting one shot, your HP goes from full to 0.
Yeah, I didn't have that experience. I tried to catch a Pikachu, I believe it's called, and I accidentally killed it. That's about the only death that I've seen so far.
I don't want to talk about it.
You're getting your butt handed to you, and you are more of an expert than I am. I think that's pretty funny.
You know what? I can defend this, because on my channel before all of the Pokemon Moon series, or I recorded a couple episodes, I went back to the Diamond game that I picked up for the sole purpose of shiny hunting, and I fought Cynthia in the entire Elite Four again, and I won. The only problem was it took like 55 revives and a bunch of potions because I was so underleveled, but I still won. And so, and I never wiped, nothing happened. So I say it's just a beginner's mistake, or I'm cracking the rust off the old gears.
All that comes to mind for me is that I leveled up my Blaziken as high as possible and went and took down the Elite Four with just Blaziken. I might have used another Pokemon too, but I remember just like powering through with Blaziken just because he was the strongest Pokemon I had. And yeah, I mean, Blaziken was my go-to.
I think we all recall at least one time in our life trying to sweep with a level 5 Magikarp. Either way, though, I think I'd like to see Pokemon Let's Go. I'm not sure, honestly. I don't want to see it have a selection for an easy or hard mode, but I think I'd kind of like to see Pokemon Let's Go. I can already tell you, it feels like it's going to be faster, more exciting. It's going to be a faster pace overall, and there's going to be Pokemon everywhere. I would like to see some difficulty added, which I add already was noted when Misty was using Starmie. The move that Misty uses in the trailer is Scald, which was obviously a move that wasn't around back then, but I have to believe that for her to be pulling out a Scald, maybe they're going to give them moves that you would have some trouble dealing with. Maybe they'll up their levels a little bit. I've already seen they're adding more trainers to the gyms.
I don't think that battling is going to be the main attraction for it. Like, I think the fact that you can ride Arcanine and, have your partner out with you like Ash does with Pikachu in the anime series or cartoon series, whichever you prefer to call it, really sells it, because that was something that caught my attention, and I've kind of followed it a little bit as time goes on, and I've discovered, the accessories, the hairstyle, all this kind of thing, and I did notice that the gems have changed, so maybe it's going to be a little more challenging, but I don't think it's going to be, like, have an easy mode or a hard mode like you would expect to see on a game for the PS4, where it's, like, easy, normal, survival, nightmare, those kind of levels.
Cry home to your mom.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be anything like that, just because of the fact that they've brought in different attractions, if you will. Especially the fact that you can ride Arcanine. I think the first one I'm going to do is Ninetales.
Electrode.
Yeah, I don't know if they have included animation for that, but I kind of hope they do.
I remember, I was really focused there at the end, the Nidoking and the Nidoqueen in the first trailer that we're following behind. That's my guy. That's the King of Kings. That's Nidoking. And so when I saw the little baby Nidoran digging through the bush, I'm like, you get him, Nidoran. You show the world.
You bring up I'm sorry, what was their names? Nidoking and Nidoqueen?
Yeah.
You bringing that up reminded me of the co-op feature and the tracks that I believe they were running on. One was blue, one was red. I'm interested to know if that's kind of a mini-game series that they've included, or if it's just letting you know which player has what color. Because I know the comms or the controllers for the Switch are blue and red.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be awesome, especially playing through on co-op, because you can do the double battle feature for sure. I'm kind of curious when it comes to, they showed multiple times catching Pokemon together. That just doesn't, that fails a logic test. Or actually, it's not just a logic test. That was like a infinite mystery test. If there's a wild Pokemon and you both throw a Pokeball and it hits that wild Pokemon simultaneously, does it rip that Pokemon into two? How does that work?
No, I believe what happens is, and forgive me for saying this if it's going to upset anybody, but I believe that it's going to be something like Sun and Moon, where the Pokemon chooses you. I thought that was a very interesting aspect, just because going back to, Charmander, Squirtle, and Bulbasaur, they didn't really get to have a say. You were just like, I want that one, and in the Pokeball it goes. And the reason why I'm saying this is because I've recently started watching X and Y, and what I've noticed is there are some Pokemon that the party isn't really interested in trying to catch. Like, they'll help the Pokemon or whatnot, and then the Pokemon will decide to go with them. So I think that's going to be an interesting concept, if that's something that they choose to put into the game, is 2 players throw a Pokeball, but the Pokemon might only choose one, because I really don't want to believe that it's not going to get split in half, but I think it's going to, like...
Where's my leg?
I really don't want to believe that they're gonna make like a copy of the Pokemon for the 2 different players.
Oh no, we're going back. I forgot this is first generation. When you turn off the game after you've gotten halfway through a trade, it duplicates the Pokemon, and one Pokemon is sent to the Eternal Void. So the rarer, the higher level Pokemon's going to be brought into both Pokeballs. He's gonna have a clone, and then poor little rat. You know how many Rattata are floating out there in the Eternal Void, lost due to the cloning glitch.
I was gonna say, I don't have any idea about that just because I don't know what game you're referencing. I have never played it, obviously.
Silver was, I think, I actually discovered this with a friend by accident, was he shut the game off while we were in the middle of trading a Pokemon, and it was a Raikou. And I had just caught a Raikou, and he killed his, I think it was, so... He wanted it, and so I sent it to him just to get him on the Pokedex, I think. I was going to let him have it for a second. He shut the game off, and when he turned the game back on, we both had one. And the Pokemon he picked to send to me was gone forever.
That sucks.
And speaking of Pokemon choosing you to go back here a couple pages, need I remind you and anybody that's watching, remember Ash's Pikachu, how he traveled with them the first time? Yeah, he drug him by a electric proof cord. Now look at where they're at now. So hey, sometimes maybe the Pokemon doesn't know what's best for you. You just grab the ball, put it back in there, and you take it out and you force it to battle.
That's kind of weird that you showed me that clip because that's not how I remember it. I remember that I believe maybe I'm thinking of Charmander. He saved Pikachu or Charmander, and then after he saved the Pokemon, whichever one it was, I feel like it was Pikachu, but I definitely remember it was with Charmander as well because he didn't want the flame to go out on its tail.
Yeah, he saved Charmander from Damien. Don't ask why I remember that. And then and Pikachu, of course, he didn't really save Pikachu. He just he dove in front of the Spearow.
No. Pikachu was sick. I remember. Pikachu was sick, and so he took him to the Poke Center, and after that, I believe that was when Pikachu started to kind of trust him a little bit, and now, it's interesting because the more Pokemon stuff comes out, the more I'm interested to, look back at the story and the series, and I actually found out that Pikachu used to have its own Pokeball with I think it was like a Thunderbolt or something on it.
Yeah, what happened to that Thunderbolt?
I don't know, but I thought it was interesting that Pikachu didn't want to go in the Pokeball. It had its own Pokeball, but it never wanted to go into the Pokeball.
They bring that up in XY because they pull out Pikachu's Pokeball twice in XY and XY and Z, and neither time that lightning bolt is gone. What was it, like a really crappy sticker?
Yeah, it looked like a sticker, like a temporary tattoo kind of a sticker, but I was
must have fallen off when it got hot in the sunlight.
But I think it's really interesting, the stuff that I didn't know before that, especially with Let's Go coming out, I've looked back on the story of Pikachu, and I think there's more research to be done about it, but still, I think it's interesting because, as a kid, you watch this stuff and you don't really think anything about it, but as you get older and you look back on it, you're just like, why didn't I catch that?
Kind of makes me wonder how happiness. Remember, there was a happiness rating in Pokemon Yellow of your Pokemon. Now I think every Pokemon's got a happiness rating. So how is that going to work in Let's Go for maybe the younger audience? If they're playing and they decide maybe not to take care of their Pikachu or their Eevee correctly, is that thing going to start hating them? And I mean, are they going to be like walking and Pikachu's not even going to follow them? You got to go back and grab that Pokemon every now and then, or maybe it's not going to let you do its hair. I mean, I wonder how the happiness rating is going to work.
I'll be honest, I really kind of want to see a clip of someone not paying attention to Pikachu or Eevee as their partner, and just I can see Pikachu or Eevee just dragging its heels I don't like you, I don't want to come with you, I just really want to see, what they could have possibly come up with for, somebody that doesn't take care of them like they should,
Eevee, listen, here's your options, alright? Either you come with me outside the Pokeball or you go sit in the PC for the next 20 years. Your choice.
I don't think it's gonna be like that, but what I believe, what I want to happen, and I think it's gonna be really funny, is that, you know, their appearance changes, like, you know, ruffled fur, or, you know, like sparks shooting off Pikachu, just because, you know, they're not well groomed, they're not well taken care of, you know, maybe they have an attitude, they're grumpy, and maybe they stop listening to you in battles. You know, I think that would be a really interesting idea and concept to incorporate, and I kind of want to see what happens, if anything.
Yeah, I certainly agree. And you know what? To bring things all the way back to the round circle here, finish up the points, I really do think that this is going to be a pretty cool game. They didn't drop a lot of big hints. I mean, maybe I should go look at what other people are thinking when it comes to theories and such, but as far as I saw, I mean, you and I looked at the footage pretty closely. I mean, there's Pokemon standing around in the overworld, but there's nothing definite. I think, yeah, there are a couple of things. I think I read something like this is based off, or I should say the locations were based off of the Fire Red and Leaf Green remakes, which I've seen them played, but I actually did not play those games. I didn't get around to it. I plan to go back and do it. Nonetheless, like Moltres, for instance, was moved from the original series in Red, Blue, Yellow. They moved him into Fire Red and Leaf Green. And Moltres is in Victory Road, where he was in the original, or where it was in the Fire Red and Leaf Green remakes. So it's there now, which means that they've taken ideas from the remakes. They've taken ideas from Yellow. But what I'd really like to see is put a lot of original spins on this. It's obvious that they are going to take a chance on this. It's obvious that they are taking a creative reinvention to the entire thing. I think that's great, and I definitely want to be a part of it.
You know, with you bringing back up the points, that made me think of something that I think would be really cool, especially since you can't evolve Pikachu or Eevee, your partner. What I would like to see is, well, it kind of plays off the idea of the Mega Stone, but, you know, you take care of it and you, like, grow a really close bond to it, either Pikachu or Eevee. I'd really like to see some kind of a reward based on the fact that, you know, you have a really good bond, you've taken care of it, etc. But other than that, the other idea that I had was, I really gotta give kudos to Pokemon and Game Freak and Nintendo, because I will admit that I'm not one to always go out and buy the newest, hottest electronic that hits the shelves, but I will get it if there are several games that I'm interested in. This game, I will admit, really makes me want to pick up a Switch, and there's not that many games out there yet that I want to play.
Why is there not a Mega Flareon and a Mega Jolteon? I'm just kidding. Although I wonder if there's going to be Mega Evolution. I highly doubt they're going to include Mega Evolution. We'll see.
I'm just going to say a real quick apology if I've stated or guessed on anything that was incredibly wrong and insulting.
I think that about wraps it up. By the way, if she said anything wrong at all, make sure you roast her in the comments.
No, please don't.
Let the fires burn. Let the Flareons out of their Pokeballs. So, thank you so much.
Wait.
You got one more?
If a Flareon comes out, can I cuddle it before it burns me to death?
You can cuddle it about as much as you can ride a Rapidash, which according to the show, you can ride a Rapidash as long as it trusts you. Because, you know, that's how fire works. It doesn't burn you if it trusts you. So, thank you very much for listening. And remember, we're going to have more installments of this podcast. Hey, share this with everybody you can. I would love to see as much feedback as possible. Make sure you roast Naya in the comments. And there's one last point I want to make is I sure hope that after the Elite Four in Pokemon Let's Go, we can finally go back and legitimately battle Professor Oak.
You can only roast me if you educate me in the process. That's the only exception I will make.
That's right, because you know what? It's friendly roasting here. We don't have any malice. All friendly roasting. Friendly rivalries. Comment below. Please get the discussion going. I really want to talk with people about this. Am I crazy? Are my ideas stupid? Maybe I spewed something. You know what? Roast me if I said something that makes no sense at all per the trailers. And in the meantime, let's watch out and see what else comes out in the next coming months here. And we'll see if anything that was said today meant anything at all, or if it was all just spewing nonsense. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me. See you next time.
Farewell. Marquis, out.